hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, the Hungry Hornet. Welcome to another video. There's a rainbow somewhere over the rainbow. And today we're talking about some news. Actually, we don't really tend to do much motorcycle news on this channel. I thought I'd throw my hat in. I thought I'd throw my little 2 pence in on the fact that the DVLA / DVSA, whatever you want to call them, the DVSA I believe, are looking at reforming the motorcycle laws and motorcycle training and motorcycle licensing laws and whatnot. And yeah, that's a good thing. It's about time, isn't it? Now, it's all very vague what they said. They didn't really say much. They basically said, we're changing the law and we're going to introduce less hurdles to motorcycle licenses, etc. However, they didn't really say what they're going to do. Now, for instance, well, for example, the current laws on motorcycling in the United Kingdom are a little bit convoluted, to say the least. So, we'll do a little bit of a breakdown for you guys real quick that might not be familiar. But let's say you, yourself, right now, in the United Kingdom, and you want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, right? You've got to go through stages. Let's say let's just take away the whole idea that you're 17. Let's say you're an adult and you're like 25, right? So, if you want to learn how to ride a motorcycle and you're 25, congratulations, it'll be a bit easier. All you got to do is the following. You got to learn, you got to go for a CBT, which is compulsive basic training, get a certificate for that. Now, if you're happy to ride around with L plates on a learner permit, then Bob's your uncle, that's it. That's all you need. And then every 2 years, you've got to basically renew your CBT, and you're restricted to riding a 125, and you can't take pillion passengers, and you cannot, by any circumstances, go on the motorway. That's it. That's the restrictions. However, the theory is it will allow you to sort of get used to the idea of riding a motorcycle, and then, you know, gain some skills and then go for further training. The further training is a DAS training course, which is direct access, and that will allow you to basically learn how to ride a motorcycle via instruction. You'll be able to go on like a 750 or 500 or whatever, learn the ropes, and then take not 1 test, not 2 tests, but 3. So to do your DAS, you need the following. You will need a theory test. You'll need a theory test before you even start training, right? And after that, you will need to do your mod 1 after your DAS training, which is basically an assault course sort of thing with 8, I think it's 8 maneuvers, which is like, for example, you know, controlled stops, emergency stops, U-turns, that sort of thing, slalom. And then after that, shortly after that, you got like literally complete. Let's say you pass your mod 1, usually they line it up where you do your mod 1 and then your mod 2 is literally straight after. The mod 2 is a practical on the road test on your motorcycle, with an examiner behind you on their motorcycle, and then that's it. And then if you're lucky enough to go through all that and you pass your 3 tests, which includes your theory test, your mod 1, your mod 2, and you also ride to a standard that's acceptable for a CBT, then you, my friend, congratulations, you have a motorcycle license, a full motorcycle license, an A-class motorcycle license. Now let's say you're not 25 or 24, wherever it is, then you'll need to do something called progressive access. So progressive access is very simple. It's basically you do all those things, but instead of being able to ride an unlimited license, you have to ride an A2 license. And an A2 license is basically capped at a certain amount of horsepower, which I believe is 50, 49 or something like that, 49 horsepower. So you got to do that, and then that's it. Then you got your A2, right? You still got to do your theory test. You still technically got to do a CBT as well. You still got to do all that. You got to do your mod 1 and mod 2. Now let's say you're 17, you did that, or 18, whatever, 19 I believe it is. You have to do A1 to do 17. You can do your A1 at 17, which is a 125, and then you can do that all over again and do your A2, mod 1, mod 2, and then you got to do your A2. Now let's say you pass your A2, right, at 19 after you do your A1, then at 21, they're very kind. They let you basically do it again. Yes, that's right. You get to do it again. You get to do your A license at 21 years old instead of 24, because you got progressive access, and but you got to pay and do all those tests again. So hypothetically, let's say you're a 17-year-old boy or girl and you want a full license. Let's say you're 17 and you want the equivalent of if you're 17 you pass your car license but you want to do it on the motorcycle, you'll be limited to 125 for 2 years. Alright, but then you'd still be able to go abroad, still be able to do whatever, basically go on the motorways. You'll be treated like a full license holder, but you'll be limited to your A1, right? And then at 19 you're gonna have to try that again. That's right, you're gonna have to try that all over again. That's correct. Yes, you're gonna have to do that all over again to get your A2. So what do you do in that situation? Do you wait? Do you wait until you're 24 and just think, fuck it, I'm gonna do it all in one go? Or are you gonna try and pass 3 mod 1s and 3 mod 2s just to ride a bloody motorcycle? You know? No, you're not. So I think it's good news that the Labour government is and you know, the DVSA are looking at changing the regs and rules for riding a motorcycle. It can't be a bad thing, but the only problem is if they decide to make it more convoluted. Like, yeah, now you need to, there's rumours now that they're going to basically say, you know, for a CVT you can only pass it once, then you got to go for your full license. That's the rumour. Now that's okay in theory if they get rid of all the hoops, you know. Do I believe that people on, you know, 70-year-old lads and girls and whatnot, you know, shouldn't really be able to buy a, you know, a Ducati Panigale and ride it because of their age? No, not really, because if you pass your car test and you got enough money, then you can buy a Bugatti Veyron, you know, at 17. What's the difference? There is no difference. You know, the only person you're really putting in danger on the motorcycle is you on a Ducati Panigale, whereas if you're driving a Bugatti Veyron everywhere and you're 17, you're putting quite a lot of other people in danger. So the danger wise, you know, the argument is silly. It's like, yes, but there's a second argument. If you're 17 and you try and, you know, get insurance for a Ducati Panigale, you're not gonna. They will not insure you. It'd be like something like 50 grand a year or something like that. You know, I've had insurance quotes that have been 5 grand because they're like, fuck off, oh, we don't want to insure you. This is the minimum we're looking to insure you at. And I'm 34. I've had a license for 2 years. You know, so it's like, that defeats the purpose. I personally believe that the motorcycle, you know, laws and the hoops you have to go through to ride a bloody motorcycle are too many. It puts people off from riding motorcycles. Why would you want to? Why would you want to ride a motorcycle in this day and age? You just wouldn't. It's too expensive. Bikes are really expensive now. All bikes are, you know. There's still some cheap ones, obviously. There's, you know, the Chinese market does well, but I'm talking about desirable bikes. If you want to buy a brand new, you know, like, let's say you want to buy a brand new bloody adventure bike so you can go touring and climb mountains and do Red Bull stuff, you know, you're going to be spending 25 grand on it. Who's got 25 grand lying around for 2 wheels? You know, might as well buy a car. You know, so the motorcycle world is a little bit convoluted, to say the least. You know, it's a little bit silly, and something needs to change, licensing wise. And I thought it'd be more easy to get a motorcycle license and cheaper, but it wasn't. I could have spent all that time getting a car license. It probably wouldn't be a bit better, to be fair. I'm not gonna lie. It's obviously harder to pass a motorcycle test if you haven't got a car license, that's for sure. You know, because, you know, you're starting from scratch, and, you know, riding a motorcycle, to pass the motorcycle test is seen as quite hard anyway. The fail rate's quite high. A lot of things working against you, isn't there? There's weather, there's visibility, there's confidence, there's the fact that you can fall off your bike at any second, there's other people, there's, like, you know, and obviously you get all those problems, same issues in a car. Of course you do. I'm not saying you don't in a car test, but it's different, isn't it? It's a bit safer. You feel like you got airbags and security, and there's someone sitting right next to you instead of tailgating you and, you know, looking like a big angry fucking bumblebee behind you in their high vis, with their high vis bike and their high vis stripes, and looking like the cops, and you get a bit nervous. Like, you know, it's not the best. So what I'm saying is, it's good news, but it's good news they're looking at it, but they're not being very clear at what they're actually going to do, are they? What are they going to do? Going to make it harder? If they are going to make it harder, then no thank you, innit? Why would anyone want that? Why would anyone want it to be harder to get a motorcycle license? I wouldn't. You know, maybe it's just me. you know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited about the idea of the new motorcycle licensing reforms, you know? Is it a good thing for the UK? What would you like to see? Would you like to see CVT riders having to do a theory test? I think that would be a good idea, personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The theory test is actually quite cheap, you know, but they need to make it where a theory test lasts a bit longer than 2 years. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What would you like to see reformed? What would you like to see change? What would you like to see stay the same? You know, what route did you take if you live in the UK? Did you get a progressive license or did you get a direct access? At what age did you pass your test? Are you someone like me who only has a motorcycle entitlement on their license, or do you have both a car and a motorcycle, or even maybe a HGV? Let me know in the comment section below. Until the next time, I've been the Hungry Hornet. You've been incredible. Remember to keep it sunny side up. Peace.